Catch and Release Turkey Hunting. William Hovey Smith, 2014. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, and these two stories illustrate how sometimes the turkey actually wins.
Now, not all of my turkey hunts have ended successfully. And so we are going to tell you about a couple that I've done, one with a muzzleloader and one with a crossbow, where the turkey got away. The first of these is a tale I'll call catch and release turkey hunting, because this is as close to catch and release turkey hunting as I think you can possibly get. The situation was this. I had a muzzle-loading rifle, a Moxbury, and it had a .45 caliber barrel, and I had developed a load for it for which I could take turkeys. Now, this is a modern muzzleloader. It has an interesting evolution. It was billed as the out-of-line muzzleloader because its ignition path was at an angle to the barrel, rather than being inline muzzleloaders, which were prohibited in some states, such as Colorado, for a few years. Well, while that law was in effect, the Moxburys did pretty good as guns, and they sold some to this market because its nipple was inclined rather than being in line with the bore and the powder charge, and so was legal in Colorado. I had such a gun, and I had developed a round ball load for it. Now, fast twist muzzleloaders are not supposed to shoot round balls well. Well, there is an exception. If you reduce the powder charge down to, say, between 40 and 55 grains or so, and you load a patch round ball, these rifles will shoot with good to excellent accuracy. So you play with your load and you reduce it so that the patch is not stripped away, not ripped apart by the rifling, and yeah, you can do good work with this gun. So I developed a load for this Moxbury and put a scope on it, so this was a good long-range rifle, I thought. So where to try it out? Well, there was an area I hunted in Washington County. This was part of company lands. I was working for a kaolin company for a time. And there was a pond on this property that was left over from the old mining days. And my theory was to sit on the dam on the other side of the pond and then shoot across the pond at turkeys coming down to water. That was my plan. We got set up before daylight, and we got all in position, and we'd driven in there and go through all the preparation. So we had all our stuff, and we were sitting on the other side of the dam. And sure enough, here come turkeys. Now, not all the plans for turkey hunters work every time. As a matter of fact, very commonly they do not work. But this particular bunch of turkeys oftentimes did this watering thing before they went out into the field across the way and fed during the morning. I couldn't hunt in the field because that was private land, so I couldn't intersect them there. So this was a point where I could get them. Well, sure enough, sat there, and here came the first turkey. And the second. Now, these were hens, though. So, as you know, in Georgia, we may not shoot hens, so I could not do anything but look at those in the scope. But yeah, the things looked good. The range across the pond was, it was about 70 yards, and my rifle was capable at that range, and I'd shot it at that range, so I was fairly confident that I could put a round ball in a turkey at that range. So all this went reasonably well for a while, except I was seeing nothing but hens. Well, then this Jake showed up. Now, Jakes are young turkeys of the year, and they're the best eating of the wild turkeys. And Jakes have a little short beard, and I looked, I could see through the scope very well that this was, in fact, a bearded Jake. Now, strange things sometimes happen in turkey anatomy. There are such things as bearded hens, which are also legal in Georgia, by the way. That's the only hen we may shoot, is one with a beard on it. But this wasn't a bearded hen. It was actually a Jake, and its head was a little bit, his head was properly colored and all of this, so it was a Jake. So I decided to try on this bird. Young turkeys are like the young of anything. They are constantly in motion. So these turkeys were moving and back and forth, and they were doing their social thing, and the Jake was sort of trying to strut a little bit, and he was doing it poorly, to put it mildly, but he was trying. At any rate, I decided, okay, yeah, I got him. He was moving and I was shooting. Plus it was a little wind. So that's not a good combination for long-distance shots across the pond. But I decided, well, yeah, I think so. So I scrooched up to the stock and I looked through the scope and I had him right there in the crosshairs and then he decided to move. Well, I was squeezing the trigger, and once I started a trigger squeeze, I find it very, very difficult to stop. The rifle went off. Boom! Feathers flew on the other side a little bit, and all the birds flew, including the one I shot at. Well, that's not how this was supposed to go down. That turkey was supposed to be flopping dead on the other side of the pond. Not so. I did see feathers, so I knew I had a hit of some sort. So I went over there and I looked, and what I found I had done is I had shot that turkey's beard off. I was so focused on the beard, I guess, that was where I was aiming, and so I had shot the critter's beard off. So I had cut some breast feathers, and those were what flew around. I had not really physically hurt the bird to any degree. I just given him a beard trim. So that's as close as catch and release turkey hunting as I have managed to come. It's not necessarily the recommended method, but was an interesting tale of turkey hunting. Similarly, as I told you, I hunt with crossbows too. So occasionally I will take a crossbow out and we will hunt turkeys with crossbows. Now, arrow-shot turkeys will very, very often fly, and so they're difficult to recover. And one reason that they fly is that the arrow passes completely through the turkey very commonly, particularly if you shoot a crossbow. And my concept was to slow the arrow down so that it stayed within the turkey itself. And that would keep it from flying, or at least flying near so well, so I'd be able to recover it close to home. So there is a type of point called a judo point. Now this is a point that has a blunt tip, which is fine. And it also has wire arms that stick out that actually cut. So I had trimmed these arms a little bit, so they were not quite as wide as they used to be, but would still cut. And the idea that this would have a higher probability of being retained in the body of the bird. And so I sighted in my crossbow. And this time I was in an elevated stand again. And so we were waiting for turkeys to come. And finally I heard a turkey calling on the other side. Now this turkey was, when I first heard him, was probably 100 yards away. Started to say 100 miles away, but no, he was not 100 miles. My calling is good, but it's not that good. He was 100 yards away. So then we started calling. Come on. Okay, he was coming. Woof, 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 woof. Call. Come on. All right, this looked good. Well, now crossbows are rather difficult to handle in a stand without making noise. They're so big and cumbersome that it's easy for the limbs to touch the side of the stand or whatever, particularly since I was shooting from a wooden box blind. So I carefully got the crossbow up and got it through the shooting window and got ready. And sure enough, here he came. Saw my decoys. Head went up. Started trot in toward the decoys. Okay, he did. He came. So then finally he got about opposite my decoys. Now this meant that he was about 15 yards away. Wow. Now that's plenty close enough for anything I got, including the crossbow. So I thought, well, this is a slam dunk thing. Yeah, I'll be able to shoot him with this. So I took my crossbow and I put it on the shooting rest and raised it, and looked down. Couldn't let him get any closer because then the down angle would be so great that I might even have the arrow slip off the rail of the crossbow. Even though, thanks to Leonardo da Vinci, he had designed something, a little spring that held the arrow on, and crossbows ever since have been using it. But at any rate, I didn't want that to happen. So raised up the crossbow a little bit, pointed down, started squeezing the trigger. Boom! Crossbow went, arrow flew, turkey flew too. Wow. Again, turkey feathers, Not many, but some. What happened? Turkeys fluff up when they strut. That is, they take their feathers and they raise them, including all over the body, including the back. And what my arrow had done was had just grazed along that turkey's back, and it had cut a furrow of feathers off the back of that turkey. So I had a turkey with a groove in it. I don't think I touched the skin or anything. But the arrow passed close enough to clip some feathers, and so that was what I saw fly. Now, I later saw that turkey again. Now, I never did have another chance at him. He was well educated by that time, and he never came close to any decoys or that blind again or anywhere near. But I did manage to glass him, and yeah, I could tell it because he was a turkey running around with that groove cut across his back. So that one got away. Yeah, he did. He made it away, and he made rather a fool out of me. Now, that technology worked, by the way. And so I was later able to actually take a turkey with a crossbow using that, and it did at design. The arrow actually stayed in the turkey. So the technology works if the shooter puts the arrow in the right place, which I had not done.
In case you're wondering what happens to these turkeys, well, they get plucked, and they get put on the Christmas table. And even after Christmas, we make turkey pot pies and turkey soup out of them. I am the author of a series of prize-winning books, including extreme muzzleloading, backyard deer hunting, crossbow hunting, and practical bow fishing, as well as an 8-book ebook series out for 2013-14. Among these titles are muzzleloaders for hunters. Now, the Moxberry that I used is actually a .45 caliber barrel, and in that I loaded 55 grains of FFG plus a patched round ball. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 300 videos, go to my website at www.hoviesmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye and God bless.